Ragecha sukha dukkadi buddhau satyang pravartate sushuptau nasti tannashe tasmad buddhestu natmanaha. Ragaha, attachment. Ichcha, desire. Sukha, pleasure. Dukkhadi, pain, etc. Buddhau satyang, when mind or intellect functions. Pravartate, are perceived. Sushuptau, in deep sleep. Na, not. Asti, is. Tannase, at the destruction of it, mind. Tasmat, therefore. Buddhe, of the intellect. To, only. Na, not. Ātmanaha, of the Ātman. Attachment, desire, pleasure, pain, etc. are perceived to exist as long as buddhi, intellect, function. They are not perceived in deep sleep when the mind ceases to exist. Thus they belong to the mind alone and not to Ātman.
Namaste. So the different qualities of perception, pleasure, pain, neutrality, whether something is useful or helps us survive or not, or so many others, different colors, shapes, textures, flavors, odors, etc., are perceived as long as the buddhi, the intelligence, functions. This is because the intelligence is not only the plan-making faculty of the mind, but it is also the comparative faculty. It takes two different impressions and compares them. And it uses certain memories as like a yardstick to measure whether something is pleasurable, painful, neutral, or useful or not, etc. All these go away in deep sleep, sushupti, when there is no mind. There are no objects, no perceptions. This is called shunyata, nothingness. And it is the basis of samadhi. When the mind ceases to function, the intelligence ceases to function. In fact, all the functions of the antakarana, the internal organ, the subtle mind and intelligence, cease to function. And there is only Ātman. But in the case of deep sleep, the mind is covered by ignorance. In the case of meditation, samadhi, there is no covering of ignorance, but this state of shunyata is entered consciously, deliberately, and under the control of the meditator. Most of the time. Sometimes samadhi will happen spontaneously, but that's rare. Most of the time it happens as a result of a disciplined program of training the mind, bringing the mind under control, and gradually shutting down its various functions until there's nothing left. But there is something left, and that is the self, Ātman. Oftentimes I have to ask my Buddhist friends, who is it that cognizes awakening or unbinding or nibbana? And they're all kind of, See, they deny the existence of the self. But I think this is a misunderstanding of the Buddha. I think when the Buddha said there is no self, or the self is illusory, He was talking about the small self, the individual self, the false ego, antakarana. But when we use the term self with a capital S, that is like the soul of the universe, everything. Well, Buddha also denied that. So then, when someone cognizes unbinding, as Sariputta and so many other, Ananda and so many other monks in the Buddha's teaching, how is that being cognized? Who is cognizing it? If there is no self with a capital S, who is it that is aware of the end of the functioning of mind? There's only one possible answer, and that's Brahman. Brahman has to be a positive entity. It has to be real, existent, and conscious, because it is the ground of the awareness of everything else. And unless there is some positive entity at the core of experiences like nirvana, or unbinding, where the self, the soul, is no longer under the control of samsara, rebirth, karma. Who is aware of that? Who is cognizing, recognizing that, oh, I am in nibbana, or I am in emptiness, sunyata? Who is that? The Buddhist scholars can't answer. But the Buddhist practitioners know. They're not saying anything, but they know. There is a self beyond the self. Self with a capital S, the universal self, the self of all. And that self is always aware, even when the mind, intelligence, senses, body, and so forth stops functioning. Because that is the life of every being. And without that self, nothing could exist. It's not just a wind-up machine, you know? There's intelligence behind it, and will, and creativity, and artistry. That has to come from someplace. The universe is not simply a wind-up toy. It is deeply intelligent and wonderfully creative, and also filled with compassion. Sometimes people ask, well, if God is perfect, why did he create suffering? And the answer is, God didn't create suffering. We did, by not following God's instructions given in the scriptures. So we created suffering by violating the laws of God, the laws of nature, that say that people should be pure and free from desire and greed, avarice, envy, hatred, and so many other mental flaws, mental diseases, due to misuse of the intelligence. The intelligence is not to compare ourselves with others and say, oh, he has something I don't, so I'm going to be jealous. See, and hate him and try to come up with some scheme to make him fall down. This is perversion of intelligence. This is negative intelligence. So most people everywhere are full of this kind of stuff. And it has to be overcome by goodness, by performance of sadhana, by purification of the mind and intelligence over a long period of time. And that's the role of conventional religion ordinary yoga, and typical types of meditation. But when the mind is finally freed from these negative traits, then it's time to approach the ultimate, the absolute, Brahman. Then the only topic for meditation is Brahman, or the self. All these other kinds of meditations no longer needed. So there goes religion and ritual and prayers and bhakti. Bhakti of a personal God then becomes bhakti of the personal self. And the self is a person, even though it's not the kind of person that we meet every day on the street. But it is the personality of the universe, the personality, the personal essence of the unborn, the absolute Brahman.
Tat Sat Om Shakti Om